Good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon, sir. We'll start now.
Yeah,
Good afternoon,
am I
all.
audible and visible
Yeah,
properly?
you're
Yes,
audible,
sir.
visible. We'll start in a few minutes, sir.
Okay.
Good afternoon to all. Myself, Professor Pragati Patil, working as Assistant Professor in Department of Electrical Engineering from SND College of Engineering and Research Center. It gives me immense pleasure to welcome you to all participants, experts, HODs, principals, sir, on behalf of Jagdamba Education Society, SND College of Engineering and Research Center. Today is the second day of 1 week national level faculty development program on innovative practices in teaching learning process. I hope everyone will get benefits from all sessions. Today we are going for session number 4, Outcome Based Education by Professor Praveen Revankar sir. It is my pleasure to introduce our speaker for today's session, Professor Praveen Revankar sir, who has graciously accepted our invitation to join us today. Professor Revankar sir is a highly accomplished individual in the field of contributing in teaching, research, and continuing education program design and delivery from last 35 years. Sir has completed graduation from KREC Suratkal in electrical engineering in 1986. He has completed his post-graduation from Walchand College of Engineering, Sangli in Electronics Engineering in 1989. Sir presently working as an associate professor in Computer Engineering and Information Technology Department, COEP Technological University, Pune. Now, going to previous achievements of Sir. Sir was a professor and director at Center for Information Technology, Yashwantrao Chauhan Academy for Development Administration, Pune. Under his leadership, Center had participated in Prime Minister flagship program of Digital India for its capacity building initiatives for Chief Information Officers of Government of India. Sir also worked as a senior faculty in e-governance and change management for Class 1 officers of various state cadres and all India administrative cadres. Sir also worked as academic unit head for Maharashtra State Project Facilitation Unit of Work Bank Assisted Technical Education Quality Improvement Project Phase 2 at Mumbai for 2 years. Sir also worked as a head of computer science and engineering, Government College of Engineering at Amravati and Chhatrapati Sambhaji Nagar for around 10 years. Sir also participated in Canada-India Industry Linkage Project, through which certified as a Applied Strategic Planning Facilitator and DACM Facilitator by ACCC Canada and MHRD Government of India. Sir also certified trainer in training need analysis and TNA toolkit by Department of Personnel and Training Government of India. We are honored to have eminent personality like you, sir, with us today to share your insights and experience with our participants. On behalf of SND College of Engineering and Research Center community, I would like to extend a warm welcome to Professor Praveen Revankar, sir. I am sure that this interaction with our expert speaker will be a valuable learning experience for all of us. With that, now I would like to request to Professor Praveen Revankar, sir, to please start the session.
Yeah, good afternoon. Thank you, madam, for your introduction. So, shall we start?
Yes, sir.
At the outset, I must thank the organizers, the principal, and the faculty of Jagdamba Education Society's SND College of Engineering, Yeola. Uh, I would like to invite few questions at the beginning as to what is expected out of this session. The topic given to me, as you all are aware, is outcome-based education. So we all know that engineering education, for that matter, has taken steps, and we have mostly aligned ourselves to the concept of OBE, that is outcome-based education. So to avoid basic concept or repetition, I would like to know the expectations of the participants from this session. Can few of the participants reflect on their needs or their understanding on this subject so far? Any thoughts from your side, participants?
Sir, I'm Dr. Joshi speaking from Chhatrapati Sambhajinagar, Aurangabad.
Okay. Which college?
Marathwada Institute of Management and Research. MIMR, and we are affiliated to Dr. Baba Sahib Ambedkar, Marathwada.
Okay. You offer engineering programs?
No, sir, we are offering management programs.
Okay.
But
So,
at the same time, today in the morning session also, like when we are going through the COPO mapping process, just wanted to have a query that, whatever is applied to the field of engineering, does it really apply to the field of management also? There is a variation, of course. Yes, today it was observed in terms of COPO mapping, in terms of POs, in terms of POs and COs. Yes, there is a difference. And that is why we as the faculty of management program would like to learn the differences between engineering and management programs.
okay. So in the morning session, you came to know about Bloom's taxonomy and its application while designing the curricula or the lesson plan for the engineering programs. Can I say that?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. And we try to compare it with our management programs also. There is a 20% variation, sir, in terms of applications. Yes, sir.
Okay. Where did you find variations, sir?
The variation in terms of mathematical calculations, variation in terms of the syllabus.
Okay.
Syllabus mapping, sir. Syllabus mapping.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay, fine. Anybody else who wants to reflect? So you came to know about the Bloom's taxonomy at different levels and how to use them while designing the curricula and later on mapping the COPO for attainment of them. Am I correct?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Yes,
Okay,
sir.
fine. Very good. So nice that I asked this question to you. Anybody else who wants to reflect? Am I audible to you?
Yes,
Yes,
sir.
sir.
Very much.
Sir, in morning session, um, we gone through the COPO mapping, along with that the attainment assessment level, direct assessment, indirect assessment, then the different tools to find the attainment level, and after that the mapping and total course outcome and the program outcome. Uh,
Okay, nice. So we are trying to groom ourselves for the attainment of CO and PO after designing it. So that is the way we look at this activity. So basically, when we say outcome-based education, we essentially talk about a design document which is called as curriculum. And that is how we differentiate from syllabus and the curriculum. Syllabus is a base level document which speaks about the units that we are going to cover through our lecture sessions, through our practical sessions. And when we say curriculum document is essentially for the learner and also for the teacher, but it has to be designed for the learner, specifying what are the expected outcomes that we are going to achieve when a student completes the course. So generally, the opening statement for the course outcomes is, upon completion of this course, the student will be able to, and then we come to 4 or 5 bullet points in proper action verbs. And these action verbs are to be chosen, selected, and designed by the teacher so that they are interpretable by the students for their academic attainments. And the game starts at the designing level by choosing the proper action verbs. I think this part was clear to you in the morning session. Shall I assume?
yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
I have sent you on the WhatsApp a document listing the levels of Bloom's taxonomy, and also it defines the every level along with probable action verbs that can be used for designing of that CO level. You may like to go through it and you may appreciate it as a template, design template to select the action verbs and to understand the focus of each Bloom's level. Can I ask you one more question? Suppose you have converted the syllabus into a document which is called as curriculum. And in the curriculum, we specifically list the expected outcomes at the beginning of the curriculum document. What will be the next step after you design the curriculum or design the course outcome? What will be the next step before you enter the classroom? Can I ask this question? Assuming that we are very serious on implementing the outcome-based education in our teaching so that there is a effectiveness in the learning by the child. Can anyone talk about that? If I design CO, what will be the next step which you think before I go to the classroom for delivery of, say, first lecture?
Sir,
You
do I
can be
meet the
wrong. Yes.
do I meet the course requisites from the student point of view?
Will you please repeat?
Does the student qualify for the prerequisites of the program?
Beautiful, beautiful. That's true. I will sense, or I have to sense, the group of students sitting in front of us for a course. I will have to find out whether most of them meet the prior learning required for this course. For example, I am a teacher of computer science, and usually I design microprocessor based system for the students through their classroom activities. Last week I was invited to deliver a lecture on microprocessor to one of the colleges before the student. So I started my lecture because the group was not known to me. And when I spoke about 5 minutes, I was sensing that the group of students possibly do not meet the desired prior learning criteria for taking up this course. Then casually I asked them, are you aware of high impedance state or tri-state in digital logic? This comes from the basic subject of digital electronics. Then I came to know that none of them were aware of this. Possibly this was a gap in their learning, maybe via inadvertently happened through teaching too by the concerned subject teacher. And therefore, it was extremely difficult to make them take their journey for designing of microcomputer around a CPU. So what Professor Joshi had just now said, that we need to find out in the class whether the students are meeting the prior learning criteria desired or required for this course. And you may explicitly specify in the curriculum document after the course outcomes, what is your entry level behavior or entry level learning expected by the candidate. That will also make students aware that what is the legacy that is being carried forward from the earlier subject, which has got the knowledge and skills linkage for the current subject that he is undertaking. Extremely nice way of putting it. Thank you, sir.
Yes,
But my
sir.
question, yes, please. Joshi sir, bola.
No, I thank you, sir, for accepting, sir. Yes.
Yeah. But I will again rephrase my question. My question was, after you design the course outcomes, now we will add little bit to it. As Professor Joshi has intervened and corrected, we will say that after designing of course outcomes and the entry level prior learning behavior expected by the students, my question still remains, what will you do as a next step before you enter in the class?
We will find what is the prerequisite required to attain or to for the attainment of that topic.
Okay, fine, good. Anything else?
Sir, good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Dr. Yadav here.
Yes, sir.
Before entering the class, teacher must know the which CO we have to teach or which article we have to teach, let it be. And where it matches in the CO1, CO2, CO3. As per that, teacher should teach and describe the CO first of all in the class, and then accordingly he should teach in each class. This is my opinion.
Will you please repeat?
Sir, before going to the class, teacher must know which article he has to teach today and where it comes in, like a CO1, CO2, CO3, whatever. Teacher should describe the COs in the classroom, and accordingly he should teach in each and every class.
Okay, fine. That is also fine. But Yadav sir, I have a little reservation, though this is a very good idea. The students are interested in two things. At the top level, they are interested in marks. And at the second level, they are interested in learning a concept because possibly that concept is going to fetch them a marks. So students are always thinking about churning out marks either by learning or by copying or by writing or by factory producing the assignments or by taking it by heart, rote learning. Whatever activities students take, they are totally focused on marks.
Correct.
So it is in the backdrop of teacher's mind that they should learn based upon their diversity of learning ability. And therefore, the average learner may satisfy first 2 or 3 levels of Bloom's.
Correct.
And an excellent learner may take it ahead to the higher levels of learning. That is of higher Bloom's level. So that is the way mentally we prepare ourselves before we enter into the class, that I am going to give this for average students. I am going to give different kind of set of activities or learning events or knowledge inputs for the students who are craving for higher levels of learning. Will you agree with this?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
That sounds very good. What I will do now is that I will send you one more document which you can use for designing of a lesson plan. So whatever course outcomes that you have designed, you may reflect it into a lesson plan which will have, we may call it as a lesson plan template. Please go through it. I have sent the document on your WhatsApp group. You may open it. You may edit whatever part that you want to. You may delete whatever entries which you don't understand or you do not like. But I have tried to list the document, prepare the template with the perspective of a student. It includes aim. Aim is for the teacher, where I have defined what I want students to learn. Rationale is why this is useful to them. And then I design the learning outcomes. Learning outcomes will be basically for every lesson or every session that you conduct. And that I will see that is not a one-way activity. I only preach and students listen. Mostly after around 18 to 19 minutes, even the listeners become passive and they do not want to, they have understood the gist of your lecture. They are not possibly interested in detailing because no one is interested in detailing. They think that detailing they will cover through self-study at home. So after 18, 19 minutes, their attention span is likely to reduce exponentially down, and therefore it becomes a challenge to the teacher to, to make them remain mentally active, mentally alert, and focused to what you are discussing in the class. And therefore, you will find in the template, you may include different learning activities. Essentially, you may have come across a word sometime in your teaching career, which is now popularly known as flipped classroom. Has anyone come across this word, flipped classroom? If not, you can tell me. I can explain you a little bit on that. Okay. Pandit sir says, no, sir. So, flipped classroom, though the word flipped sounds little different for us as a teacher, but flipped classroom is organizing the students' groups in different forms based upon their learning needs. But then it is physically impossible. That is because our classrooms are organized in a most stereotyped fashion. The way we learned in childhood, the same is being carried forward. There is a dais for the teacher, which keeps a boundary for his empire in the classroom. And there is another empire down below, where there is a seating arrangement of benches and the desks. So this is the biggest hindrance for achieving the outcomes of every lesson that we plan. That is because based upon their prior learning and based upon their learning needs, there is a third parameter, and based upon their learning styles, I am not able to segregate them in the groups. The same is the story in our college too. We are no different than your college. And you know, nowadays, branch like computer science has got huge numbers because of their demand. I teach a few subjects to second year, and I find in one class there are 109 students, and in the second division I got 118 students. So managing this big group in a traditional classroom, furniture itself is a big task. So leave alone thinking on the idea to segregate them to smaller groups, to work on small activities of that class, which are designed based upon their learning needs, their prior learning, and their learning styles. Here, you may think that you have done some work on the prior learning or on the learning needs because you have started designing the course outcomes and then the lesson outcomes. For some of you, it may be also an issue to how to find out the learning styles of the students, for which I have shared one more document on your WhatsApp group, that is learning style assessment. You can go through this document. This document has been designed by Professor Richard Felder, who is a professor of chemical engineering, and he has designed a questionnaire by analyzing many of his students and for their diverse learning styles. Some are local learners, some are global learners, some are visual learners, some are verbal learners, some are intuitive learners. All these styles in every candidate, some of them are dominant and some of them are dormant. So whenever you are designing a lesson, you should keep in mind the needs of a visual learner because he doesn't want to listen. Then the needs of a global learner, he is not interested in small detailing. He wants to have a larger picture. He thinks detailing he can fill in any time and he doesn't need a supervised learning event by the teacher for him through the classroom. I will request all of you to go through this document and assess your own learning style. Though you are a teacher, you also have some dominant learning styles. And you find out at the end of this questionnaire by counting different indices given at the end, what are your dominant learning styles? And there possibly you will get, it will be an eye-opener for us that if my learning style is not focused on auditory learning, naturally, if my 60 students are there in my class, they may have diverse learning styles. And therefore, the design of the document starting with CO or starting with CO and PO, then coming to teacher's hand, and the teacher starting with a lesson outcomes, which should be aligned as a course outcome. That starts. My only contention here, which I want to present before you, is that before you take the course outcomes in your mind to present to the students, you focus on these three things: prior learning, their learning needs, and their learning styles. It is not a very big deal or a big rocket science to think in this direction. Possibly it will take 2 semesters. When you align your thinking, maybe you will prepare a document which is called as lesson plan, or you may not prepare. But when you enter into the classroom, you are aware of the crowd that you are addressing. Does this sound okay, sir? Any
Yes.
question?
Yes.
Any questions? Okay. Most of the time, when I see the department faculty who is working on curriculum and then delivery in the class, number one, it is extremely difficult for them to keep track of COs and POs in every class. Number two, it is also difficult for them to keep track of COs and POs when they design the question paper, and lastly, the attainment. And therefore, it is my very strong contention, which I want to present before you, that unless you think in terms of a classroom setup which can be converted into group activities. After say 20 or 25 minutes of every lecture, mapping of CO, PO for every lesson may prove to be only a theoretical activity. And therefore, there is a lot of work where you need to plan your lesson plan. Peter Drucker, a management scientist, management and professor and philosopher, used to say, plans do not work, but planning is important. So whatever you write, though I create a lesson plan with the template, possibly suppose the one which I have shared, the plan you will find are miserably failing because you have to take decisions in the classroom based upon the feedback that you get from the students. So mostly it is a dynamic activity. But if you make your mind go into the process of planning, the document remains at the document level, may become irrelevant also to a certain extent. But due to that process of planning where you have considered different needs of the learner, your teaching or your teaching activities, planning of activities for making learning happen, get aligned to the students group. Second and most important part, which I want to discuss about achieving the outcomes through classroom activities, is exactly opposite to the logical part of curriculum designing. And if you ask what is the logical part, everyone will say applying Bloom's levels for the design of CO is the logical part or logical and analytical part of designing of the curriculum and delivery of the curriculum. What I'm trying to speak to you is that if I start teaching you something and if you don't want to learn, mostly learner is not interested in learning. If I start teaching you something and I do not provoke enough interest in the learner's mind, in that case also, it is extremely difficult to make learning happen. Actually, we are talking about a concept. If the students understand the concept based upon their learning needs, they can go to the different levels of Bloom. If they are not interested in the concept itself, then I think that is the biggest failure of a classroom session. What I want to put forth here is that concepts are not important unless you make a connection with the child. And therefore, these traditional classrooms having a dais and the desk and bench arrangement, most of the cases I have noticed does not give leverage to the teacher to mix with the students, have a eye contact with them, ask them personal questions for their background to have a strong emotional connection to begin with. within 4 sessions or 5 sessions. If I can do that after 20 minutes of conceptual discussion and breaking the class for the group activity of their own choice of students, maybe the neighbors sitting on the bench, or we can form a group of 2 benches where the front bencher can turn around and discuss with the children on the back bench students, you find the classroom has got a different set of dynamics. It has changed. It has converted itself into a sage on the stage to a guide by their side. And they come to know that a human being like us is standing beside us and trying to informally interact with them, not only on the subject concept that he has taught, but also he is inquisitive and curious about the background of a child and his passion or his hobbies or his social connections or his family background. I think this is the beginning point of making a humane emotional connection. And that is the only way to achieve learner-oriented culture in education. But from our childhood, we have seen that most of us were taught by teachers who were focusing more on discipline and order than on any emotional connection. Possibly that has become a model. I think this model, sometimes it may be necessary. But after you break the ice, after you say, after you convince them what is your plan throughout the semester and what are the signposts, say 2 or 3 signposts, where the student can assess whether they have attained the signpost for that subject. And this happens after convincing them why this subject is important and what is that importance that it plays when they are likely to become a professional. For example, when I teach design around microprocessor, and when I enter into the classroom, I first see that my students are trying to show me that they are mentally alert, emotionally active, and they want me to acknowledge that. So that creates a little bit of vibrancy in the classroom to make a simple announcement. And then I ask them a simple question. I'm just giving an example. How about designing our own computer today? Then they again sit back straight and try to show more alertness that this teacher is trying to tell us something which is extraordinarily important. Not only it is important, it looks glamorous. And when I ask them, how about designing our own computer? Each one of you, they will say, sir, yes, we'd be interested. Possibly this was our dream when we have entered in the college, but we didn't know that as a part of this subject, we are going to learn. And then you start developing a concept, a small concept, about the processor, in the back of their mind, that dream is working. That why I need to learn this concept? Because I am going to design the computer. And when after 4 or 5 lectures, they complete the paper design of a working of a computer, they are extremely delighted. They are extremely happy because they have achieved a signpost after say 5 or 7 lectures. And when I take them to lab, I ask them to identify all the design aspects that they have applied while designing the computer on paper with the microcomputer that they are going to use in the lab. They make connections. They make their dream connections, and they come to know that it is working exactly in the same fashion in which it was presented in the class. Lot of learning events we have planned in this. Lot of efforts from the students' side they take, and very less effort a teacher takes because he has designed a fixed template and taken lot of effort in designing the lesson plan or designing the session the way it is going to be conducted. It is like a one-act drama or one-act play, which we observe on the stage being played. There is a lot of efforts which have gone before the play takes place. There are a lot of rehearsals. In my opinion, the mental rehearsals, mental thinking about planning of activities based upon different needs of the student likely to go in the teacher's mind before he enters on the stage. And this really works. So my topic, which I want to discuss more, is that a student, before he is addressed by the teacher should also analyze himself and find whether he is emotionally and socially skilled to address the group of students at the age at which they are entering in the class or in the college. If not, the teacher should prepare himself to equip with the skills required for his social and emotional development. Any questions till now? Does it sound okay? Okay. Thanks, Sonali. Sonali says, yes, sir. Okay. Fine. Thanks, Pranoti. Thank you all. So let us take it ahead. One of the important skills that a teacher needs to develop to make an effective emotional connection is compassion. What do we understand by compassion? Does anyone want to contribute? What is compassion? Okay. There is one answer which is coming as compassion means empathy. Compassion, Preeti says compassion means understanding the feelings of students. Good. Anybody else? Placing ourselves into other shoes with sympathy and concern. Okay. Very nice. Students' quality of understanding. Lalit says student quality of understanding. Extremely good answer. In a simple definition, dedication to purpose, Rahat says. Okay, good. We'll talk about purpose sometime if we get time now. Understand everyone. It's a broad answer, but good answer. Dinesh says understand anyone. Good. To know students' expectations and acting accordingly. Beautiful. That is the objective actually. We need to be compassionate to achieve this objective. Very good. But see, every teacher has its own makeup of mind. And as I said, there is a lot of unlearning which should go to convert himself into a compassionate teacher. Because of our image as a teacher, as a sage on the stage, we think we are a superhuman being. Beautiful. Catherine Kulnu says, understanding and accepting to learn. Where can I see these messages again? Okay, there is a very good message which I have received. Understanding and accepting to learn the other person's problem like one's own. Beautiful. May I know you are from which college? Kethovino Catherine Kulno. Which college you are from? Can you unmute? Is it audible?
She's from St. Joseph College Autonomous, Jakama, Kohima, Nagaland.
Okay, okay. Fine. Beautiful definition. I must appreciate your understanding. Maybe you have got some background of theological or religious studies where pinpointedly they rehearse all these fundamentals. Yes. This answer is very close to the definition of compassion, wherein the simple definition which I can understand is, maybe it is not a very bookish definition. I should be able to leave the feelings of others. That's all. If I am able to leave the feelings of my wife, if I am able to leave the feelings of my child at home, the culture at home is flourishing. And it is always joyful. And when you are understanding the feelings of others, naturally it requires sacrifice. What sacrifice? Suppressing your feelings is the sacrifice. So understanding the feelings of others, which consequently means at the cost of suppressing your feelings. Will it be a good way of suppressing the anger? I think this is one of the way of suppressing the anger. And if there is no anger, will you agree with me that anger is nothing but a mental violence? What is violence? Violence is which kills someone, right? And what is anger? Will you call anger also a mental violence? Yes or no? Yes, many of you are saying yes. My next question comes again. If it is a mental violence, who gets killed? That means peace of mind, beautiful. Ansari says it's peace of mind. So, any other answer? Anger kills whom? If it is ourselves, okay, which is a disaster, we should never kill ourselves, never kill self. Deshmukh Shital Kumar says, understanding the suffering of others and then taking action. Help them. Sangdev says, very good answer. I think you are defining compassion. Beautiful. Ourself, Dr. Seema says ourself. In my opinion, anger kills connection. Anger kills relation. Anger kills connection temporarily, and anger kills relation in long term. Will you agree with me? Why we should avoid mental violence? Why should avoid anger? Because any violence kills someone, harms someone, hurts someone. And in this case, you are hurting a connection. In this case, you are hurting a flourishing, a blossoming relation. Even if he is a child of 18, 19, 20-year-old, and you are little aged than her or him, there was a possibility of blossomed relation. There was a possibility of flourishing relation. Yes, Megha says it disturbs ourselves too. It's true. It disturbs ourselves. Now, I will put one more question due to this answer that it disturbs ourselves. If we need to avoid mental violence, that means if we need to practice and avoid anger overtly, that means exposing ourselves to the anger. What is the suggested path? What do we think? What do you think we should do? Any answer? I'm just asking you a question. See, we have started from compassion. Compassion means not understanding the feelings of others, but living the feelings. I am living the feelings of others. I have gone through that feeling. When you feel that you have gone through the feeling of a student who is trying to express in front of you, that is a beginning of compassion. But my question is, where should we begin? Megha says avoid such situation or ignore. Okay. We cannot avoid the situation. Ignorance is possible. Accept the situation. There is one answer. To remain calm and reflect on the situation. How to remain calm? That is the problem. Because that feeling of anger always comes. It should come. It's a natural feeling. It also has some positive connotations. Only because Gandhi was angry when he was thrown out of train, that he fought for around 15 years in South Africa and then entire his life after returning to India. If he was not treated badly, once in India also, then possibly that anger wouldn't have erupted. A development of a growth mindset which has culminated into independence of this country. He has organized his own army. All were stalwarts. Everyone was an exemplary leader. But they all got attracted to Gandhi just because Gandhi had a bigger plan. Gandhi had a larger picture. Gandhi was a teacher. of all those stalwarts. That means Gandhi was angry, an angry man. Then how did he suddenly become compassionate? What is the process of becoming compassionate and control the mental violence? And Gandhi is a known example for non-violence, which includes mental non-violence. Gandhiji's non-violence doesn't only include the physical violence, it also preaches mental violence, which means be compassionate. What should be the process? That is my question. Sanjay Gadekar says, keep mind cool. In my opinion, by understanding others' point of view, okay? Ansari says, enhancing our purpose. Okay, we are, as I said, we may talk about our purpose later on if time permits. That is also a beautiful part of developing yourself as a teacher. Okay. So let me introduce to you how can we develop compassion or how we can get rid of the eruption of anger for non-constructive purpose. From today onwards, whenever you leave a feeling, you get attracted to someone? Yes. You feel nice interacting with few people? Yes. You feel sad if some of your enemies are around? True. You envy somebody? There are variety of feelings. And not only we can define those feelings in one words, because these feelings come in different strengths on different occasions, at different times, and with different people. If that is correct, can we start leaving our own feelings as a third party auditor for our feelings? And when you will observe yourself for the feelings that come in your mind, some of them give you pleasure, happiness, and joy, but some of them also give you sadness. When you start analyzing your feelings, you start knowing yourself. And that is the first step to becoming compassionate to yourself. In my opinion, if you want to practice compassion, you should practice it on self first. So the first step towards compassion is you should be self-compassionate. And the first step towards being self-compassionate is you start reading, you start studying your own feelings and your own makeup as a human mind. And when you do that, many of the feelings you have lived. And when somebody comes in front of you and exposes his feelings to you or narrates an incident which has a connotation of emotion to that experience that he is going to state before you, you get surprised because the same feeling you have lived some time ago or sometime in your life. Not only you have lived, you have also studied that feeling. What happens to you after that feeling? I think this is the beginning of compassion. And for that matter, for those who know Marathi, may understand it better, near to your Yeola, Nasik, Kusumagraj, our one of the greatest poet of Maharashtra we have seen, lived. And he writes in one of the poems that जे जे जगी जगते तया माझे म्हणा करुणा करा. In English, it can be translated as whatever living bodies are alive. Let me live all those lives for their feelings. The second part of the poem, second line in the poem, can be translated as, if I get this opportunity, I myself will become the Lord compassionate or the God. The highest compassion level, if we assume that a God or a imaginary power has got, superpower has got, who has given us birth on this world, then the poet says, if you allow a God, if you allow me to live the feelings of all the living bodies that you have created, possibly I will not need you. I myself will become a God. I think this is a very important thought which he expresses to define compassion. So when you start doing it at today, suppose your age is 30, 35, 40, 45, and you do it for next 20 years, then you come to know the meaning of sufferings. Then you come to know the underpinning feeling and emotions attached to that suffering. And you feel that those sufferings are yours, not theirs. You get connected. That is an extremely powerful connection. And if you read Gandhi or any great leader who is known for being compassionate, you will find that their emotional connection was the strongest with all the people whom he got connected. And many of them were stalwarts. Vallabhbhai Patel, who was Deputy Prime Minister, was a barrister, having a very lucrative practice in Mumbai court. And when Gandhiji made an appeal to him that I don't want part-timers. If you want to make this country free from the colonial rule, I want everybody who is a full-timer like me. How many of you will come with me? And in that meeting, Vallabhbhai Patel raised his hand. From this day, Gandhi, I am yours. He sacrifices his entire barrister career for Gandhi from that day till his death. He was extremely good in English. We do not know the story. But once Lord Mountbatten writes to Vallabhbhai Patel in a letter, and at the end of it he says, I am extremely sorry because my English is not that good as yours. Please pardon me if I am not able to communicate in proper words to you as may be desired by you. This speaks lot about the competence of the people around a man who attracted these people. Maybe there are many examples. But I think compassion plays wonders. Buddha, when he got enlightened, it is said that he sat for a long time, maybe around 2 years in meditation. The village people used to sit in front of him, waiting for his eyes to be open so that he will communicate. Somebody is saying your English is fine. I was not okay. Thank you so much. And when Buddha opens eyes, people are very curious to know what knowledge he has gained out of meditation because they are attracted to him. And Buddha opens the eyes and says, I am hungry, bring some food. Everyone is disappointed. But the way Buddha has then translated his knowledge in the words that are understandable by common man, you can see the growth and spread of Buddhism, a religion spread by a single person in entire world. So these are few examples. wherein what can be the result of compassion? So is it not good for a teacher to achieve the outcomes designed in the outcome-based curriculum model? If we want to achieve them in classroom, those COs and POs are more important. Those Bloom's levels are more important. Or social and emotional upbringing of a teacher as an agent is more important. I think it is, I leave it for you to think. And whenever you come to a conclusion that yes, at designing and planning level, outcomes are more important because they are linked to your mission, because they are linked to your vision, because it is linked to your mandate. And that is how we need to look at the development of the community for the future based upon the mission this institute, our institute has taken. So aligning all the POs and COs ultimately to the mission of the institute is good for designing the curriculum. But that is just a writing of a play. A writing of a play doesn't guarantee creating that art. Maybe we will call it as a director. There are people who are managing the other parts of the play. Everyone is important, but what is more important is the actor who is playing the lead role in the play, and that is you as a teacher. I think every teacher is an extremely good actor because he has to
Hello.
Good afternoon, everyone. There is some technical issue with our speaker, so he will join soon. All stay with us. All stay connected. Sir will start soon.
Is it audible now?
You're audible, sir.
Yeah. So it got disconnected automatically. There is some Wi-Fi issue. So my system people have given me some other connection. So I have logged in from that account. Okay. Any questions so far? Did you like this discussion?
Yes, sir. It is very nice.
Thank you. Thank you, Dahake sir.
Thank you, sir.
So, thank you, Sonali. If you have any question, please feel free to ask me wherever you find. So what I was trying to tell you is that we can achieve great things by this small skill if we can develop. But let me tell you one more thing, that there is no other alternative than to acquire this skill because you have accepted teaching as a career. If you want to be a teacher, this is an extremely important skill you need to develop. Thanks, Pratiksha, Fidelia, Pawan. I'm going to dwell upon two more parts. Actually, these contents are part of 2-day training program, which is delivered by me, usually for the group of teachers, to develop them through the required skills to support OBE, because OBE is being treated like a god from 2007. I was introduced to OBE in 2006, and I worked with the Australian consultant that time for around 1 year. And then again, I was working with Canadians on the similar concept, where it was in Canada, it is called as competency-based education. And through Washington Accord, American paradigm, we call it as a outcome-based education. And somehow in colleges, because of that accreditation process by NBA, OBE and related documents, attainment, have been treated as a very religious activity, like a god's activity. But whenever I was trying to analyze it and find relevance of it for the education in India, I was somehow finding it difficult to digest that OBE is God. Sometime ago, I told my wife, OBE cannot be God. It can be a big Ram temple. There is no Ram inside. What is that Ram inside the temple? I was quite curious to know. And then I came across a book. And I also did a course on Coursera. But that book was very interesting. How teachers face themselves. This is around 50-year-old book written by Arthur Jersild. And there I came across the basic skills required by the teacher. And wherein he says that teachers should know himself first. And then I tried to research little bit on allied topics, and I came to know that the fundamental skill a teacher for understanding himself should practice is self-compassion. By practicing more and more self-compassion, one day sure he will become the compassionate teacher. And once he becomes a compassionate teacher, emotional connections becomes very easy to establish. And once you are successful in establishing a emotional connection with a child, with every child, I must say, in the class, sometimes these connections are not active. But the moment you come across a student anywhere in the campus or in the class, see, I have got around 200 students. 95% of them, I remember their names. The moment anyone comes to me for counseling or for some work, I address them by first name. Not only that, I will slowly ask him or her, when did you last visit Nagpur? So he becomes very, very, very happy because not only his name, but his place of residence I have noticed and I am remembering. This is the way of maintaining the emotional connection. There is no other connotation. There are no other feelings as far as teacher is concerned. But as far as student is concerned, he feels a lot about it. He feels that this teacher is only mine. This teacher is not anybody else's, but only mine. And that feeling gives conduciveness required for learning to happen. And you become a central activity in her thinking or in his thinking. And whatever you preach or whatever you demand, they vehemently try to satisfy you. And that becomes a blossoming activity in learning to happen through your teaching in the classroom. And therefore, I said, it is like a drama and you are a main actor in the drama. Sometimes you don't like students, but it is your art of acting that the student doesn't know that you don't like him. Student feels that there is a connection still available and active with this teacher. And because of the practicing of skills of compassion, you also feel at the back of your mind that, see, you do not like this student, but don't do anything to harm him because you should not fill your role as a compassionate teacher. So that plays wonders as your role in the teacher, in teaching as a teacher. So therefore, you do not remain sage on the stage, but you become guide by his side, and slowly maybe you will have a sagehood attained when you try to end your professional life at the time of retirement. Isn't it a good idea to happen? I think yes. But there are challenges. My second part, which I want to discuss with you, is that how to practice happiness. You may ask me a question, why to practice happiness? Some of you will also tell that, sir, entire goal of each minute and second that I spend is to make myself happy. Either through bodily pleasures, the creature pleasures, or through higher levels of pleasures, attainment of some skills, some knowledge, maybe the skills required by the community, or maybe some money that I get back, I get pleasure, and then it turns out to be an event of happiness. In Buddhist psychology, happiness is measured in terms of mindful events. Now, what is a mindful event? Suppose you are with your dearest one. Say you are a husband with your wife, or you are a wife with your husband. You have a mostly very strong emotional connection because Each one of you have sacrificed something for the other person so that her needs are satisfied or his needs are satisfied. And that sacrifice has developed into a relationship. And there is a sanctity of the marriage as an institution to give its most legitimacy. So it becomes a not only a closed relationship, but it becomes a definition of a home, a most safe, secured entity in the world, wherein you can develop progeny. That means you can develop children. You can produce children. And no mother will produce a children unless it's extremely safe and secure for her. So if that happens with a male, she consents for the progeny through her. And due to that sweet home and due to that legitimacy of marriage as a contract, she gets that and the progeny happens. And that is how culture after culture we develop in the family. Generation after generation, we develop family as a culture, and that is with strong bonds. Why I'm defining this? Have you ever looked at the eyes of your spouse, of your husband, or of your wife, and then it has erupted into a laughter? Imagine that situation. On what kind of events it happens? How many times in a day or in a week it happens? You will find that it mostly lasts for 1 or 2 seconds. Buddhist psychologist says it can last maximum up to 9 seconds for normal people. But they say that meditative experiences make you enjoy the mindful events even for a longer duration. Maybe 1 minute or more, I do not know, because I am not a very highly meditative person and I have not experienced such. But I have experienced this happening with close relatives, especially with friends. And we erupt into a laughter because you are strongly connected with each other on the same event, with the same gravity of emotions on the event to enjoy that. So the basic event of pleasure or happiness is mindfulness, and it works in mind. So it takes you away from the pleasure activity, but still enjoy life because there are mindful events. Martin Seligman, one of the greatest psychologists the world has seen, still working as a professor, known as a professor of happiness, working in New York University, has done a research of more than 100 cultures across the world, maybe more than 10 to 12 years continuously, diverse cultures, 100 professors of diverse cultures working with him to find out what are those parameters, what are those strengths which a human being should have to make his life a happy and fulfilled activity from his birth till he died. Death is also an event which we can plan whenever it is possible. As we are aging and becoming older, what are those strengths required when you are aging and when you are nearing to your death to enjoy the fulfilled life? He talks about entire spectrum of strengths, and his research is titled as character strength research. Initially, he came out with 100 character strengths, which is now distilled down to 24 character strengths. If you search on Google, 24 character strengths by Dr. Martin Seligman, you may be visiting his virtual institute, whose name is VIA Character Institute, where VIA is an acronym whose full form is Values in Action. What are those 24 human values which will take you from your birth till your death to enjoy a happy and fulfilled life? And he has a survey also, which is free. Some portion of it is free. Around 120 questions, if you answer, you can create your own present character strength profile. And therein you will find what are your top 5 character strengths out of 24. Which are your top 5 character strengths? These 24 character strengths are divided into 6 categories. Martin calls it as a traits of the character. 2 traits are defined by him to make you stand in this world as an independent entity, independent human being. Next 2 trait sets are defined by Martin as required for you to live in society with others, especially with your wife or with your child, with your mother, with your father, and then with many people, say in office or in community. So one-to-one connection, one-to-many connection. After these 4 set of traits, each having around 5 to 6 character strengths, he defines one on reflection, the 5th character trait, and last one is on transcendence. Reflection actually makes you competent to take right decisions or choosing right decisions when 2 choices come to you. What is required in you to make better decisions, right choices in your life? That he defines in the 5th trait. In the 6th trait, he defines how are your connection with God. If you don't believe in God, how are your connection with the super powers who have created you? It is true that you were created out of a blissful activity between your father and mother for the progeny to happen. It did happen. You took birth on this earth. But if I ask you a question, how many percentage of traits that you own and have today are attributed to your father or attributed to your mother? So you possibly will answer that very less. What you have today is a different person, altogether different than your father and than your mother. How did it happen then? Martin Seligman says, possibly because of the design of the superpower, who wanted it to happen in this fashion. Possibly because, and actually this is written in every religion, maybe in first 2 pages, that every human being takes birth on this earth to help other human beings. That is the purpose of his life. That should be the purpose of his life. If that doesn't remain his purpose of life, then possibly world, community, or possibly God somehow teaches him that whatever you have, start giving to others. In return, what you get is your salary, is your income, is your profit. So it is a service that you provide. Whatever competence that you develop, that you convert into a service, and that service you try to give it to others. And when you start giving it to others, and when you start getting positive feedback for the service that you give, two things come to you: little bit of wealth and lot of happiness, lot of fulfilledness. You start having a feeling of fulfilling. And that's the reason you come to your college, your department every day, to earn those events of mindfulness by proving yourself for the competence for which you were engaged. And when you had the opportunities to prove them, day by day, every day and every week, you feel attracted to the institute, to the department. Salary becomes a byproduct of the entire process. That is important when you reach back to your family to make them happy, to give them creature comfort. Naturally, the money is required. And for the services rendered by you, for the competence that you have developed, you get that portion of the wealth to make your remaining life blissful and happy. How does it sound to you? I don't know what's happening with you, but luckily I got a cup of tea for me from the department. I must thank them. Any questions? Many of you have given positive feedback. Thank you all. Does anyone want to reflect upon the learning that has happened so far? I appeal all of you to go through the VIA Institute on Character website and do a free survey and get a PDF and to find out what are your top character strengths, your signature character strengths. We will talk 2 minutes on that. Whatever top character strength that you get, you ask one question to you, whether those strengths define you. Those top 5 strengths out of 24 character strengths really define you as a human being. If the answer is yes, now there is a key to success. There is a key to happiness. There is a key to joy. There is a key to mindful events in your life. Whenever you feel low, whenever you feel down, find out, keep that copy of character strengths report, signature strengths report, pinned on your notice board, one in your bedroom or in your kitchen. Whenever you pass by, you rehearse what are your character strength, signature strengths. And then whenever you feel down, remember your first strength and try to search for an opportunity to practice that. For example, my top strength is kindness. Kindness means I get experience joy. I get an experience of joy whenever I'm helping others. And there are a lot of students who need help. So they get attracted to me. Most of them come to know that if you are in distress, especially emotional distress, family problems, economic problems, problem of relations, relation with other sex friend or relation with own same-sex friends, problems in that. Everyone gets attracted and they privately come and meet me and they try to tell your problem because they think this man is connected with them. And the moment they come to me, I give them counseling. I try to solve their problem till the logical end. You know why? Not to make the child happy, because that is my top character strength that gives me maximum joy throughout the day. So what? Whenever you feel low, whenever you feel you are jobless, whenever you feel there is a lot of politics in the college, whenever you feel you are being sidelined, you practice your character strengths. Dig up the opportunities to practice them, and you will feel that you are earning joy, you are earning happiness by those sessions, by those activities. So, your topmost 5 character strengths are essentially defining you. They are not only defining you, whenever you get an opportunity to practice them, you feel energized. And whenever you practice your character strength, which is top character strength, you feel it is effortless. It is connected to your passion. You don't feel any effort. You don't feel that you are giving time. You are giving your own resources for others because has also explicitly worked on happiness. And his research on happiness actually led him to be known in the world. Oh, thank you, Fidelia, for your so nice comment. Thank you so much. So, he is also known today as a professor of happiness. He has, out of his research, he's still alive, maybe around 88-year-old, but working as a professor, I think in University of New York. He was a president of Psychologist Association of America for a long time. And he has helped establishing KIPP schools, KIPP schools, where KIPP stands for Knowledge is Power program, started by one young mind of around 23-year-olds that time, maybe 15, 20 years ago, by name David. And now he has culminated into more than 300 schools in US, whose main motto is, we give academics, but we develop characters. That is the motto of the schools. And basically, my signature program of teachers is to make teachers equipped with not only give outcomes aligned curricula for the development of the students, for the requisite knowledge and skills, but develop their character. It is my earnest opinion that each one of you, when you are going in a classroom or in a laboratory for any designed session scheduled as per the timetable for you and for the children, is an activity not of teaching and learning, but for developing the characters of the children who have some gaps in their character strengths. So there is a question by Audrey wherein he asks me, how do we deal with students who start taking advantage of our compassion for them? I think this is a very good question. See, if you are having a lenient principal, very compassionate principal, there are some principals, some HODs like that. What do we do? Do you take advantage of him? In one way, yes. But if you look at the other way, you feel good about him being compassionate, and then the occasions of taking advantage become lower and lower, smaller and smaller, less and less. And then you yourself start getting aligned with the vision of the compassionate leader, because it is a true transformative leadership that he wants to show. This must have happened with Gandhiji also, because he was the true compassionate leader. He never used to hurt, but then he used to sacrifice if the decision is not liked by him. By sacrificing, say he used to do fasting, go on fast. If he doesn't like a decision, he will immediately go on fast and start sacrificing for himself. You can have your own ways, except the mental violence. You can have your own ways. If a student is starting to take advantage, for more number of times. Couple of times, every student has a right to take advantage. That is my contention. Let him take advantage. Let him enjoy the advantage. But the moment they will come to know whatever happening in your mind is not for you, but actually as a teacher, you are sacrificing for the students. Slowly, most of them will be aligned with the activities that you have planned. Do you agree with me, Audrey? Any more question out of that? This is my personal experience. Yeah, thank you so much. This is my personal experience. Whatever I am trying to tell you, I am practicing it every day. And I have got a group of 230 students in two classrooms whom I meet every day, at least in labs in a group of 20 or in a class in a group of 100. Whatever I have told to you from the beginning of this class, everything I am practicing every day. And I feel I can convert my classroom into a flipped classroom with strongest emotional connections, having vibrancy of highest level in the classroom, and that is required for learning to happen. And I'm enjoying it. I want all of you to enjoy that. I know there are negative uh, events coming out of it. There can be people who are taking advantage from you for you being compassionate. In my opinion, let them take advantage for a couple of occasions. Who is going to suffer ultimately, academically and assessment-wise, they are going to suffer. But never tell them that your assessment is in my hand. Don't take disadvantage of me. Never tell them. See, when you are work, I used to be in an academy for the government officers, and I used to train all top level, all India cadres, including IAS, IPS, and military officials on change management. Most of them are practicing discipline and order. It's a mental violence. I used to ask them why you want to tell people that you are a district collector and you can suspend anyone. That is a fact. Everyone knows. But by telling them overtly that you have this power, why you are killing creativity in them? Why you are killing connection of emotions, emotional connection in them? I think that is a bad thing to happen. And most of them used to get aligned with this thinking. Ultimately, as a teacher, you are a change leader. You are a true transformative change leader. And I'm just adding compassion into it as a skill, as a tool. Only then it can happen. This is my contention. Let us practice it. If after 2 years you feel that this model is a failure, let us go for some other model. But don't practice only the model of discipline and order, thinking that no one should take disadvantage of you. Disadvantage of you being lenient. Because it has a lot of meaning, lot of connotative attached research, applied research, not by me as a single person, but by Professor Martin Seligman, who is an accomplished professor in the field of happiness and character strengths. We have other examples like Mahatma Gandhi or Gautam Buddha or anyone who likes you, who is whom you like. You will analyze that most of them became great leaders by practicing connections, by practicing leaving the feelings, and by practicing compassion. My only additional contention was that to practice compassion, you need to be self-compassionate. After understanding the character strengths, what I want to inform to you is that as a teacher, it is your duty, it is your responsibility. You are paid for that, not for teaching and learning to happen, to align yourself with the outcome-based curricula design, implementation, and attainment, but you are also responsible for development of child as a character strength. You are responsible for his character. Let us understand this concept of character. When do you think your character was built? Any answer to this question? So how much time can I use? Last 12 minutes left. Oh, thanks, James.
Sir, last 10 minutes.
Last
4:30.
time.
Yeah.
So I should stop at 4:30, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay, fine.
Thank you, sir.
So let us quickly understand the concept of character for a human being. If I ask you a question, when your character was developed, you will say that, sir, I don't know. You will also say that, sir, possibly at the time of my birth. Then I'll ask you another question, who has developed your character? Do you think entire thing is God gifted? Then you will think for a while and you will say that, sir, I don't know. But it doesn't look like God gifted. And if I work on my own human uh, development as a human being, I think there is a contribution coming up by few persons whom I remember. So that means that a sheer birth on this earth, coming out of the womb of your mother, is not the development of character. You should remember that after your birth, what happened was exactly 180-degree opposite to what you are enjoying today. In the mother's womb, you were joyous, you were getting ready-made food, ready-made pure blood, no need to take oxygen from outside, no need to search for food. And the moment you came outside, everyone was smiling, your mother was so happy, except you, because you felt lot of insecurity. Why? You didn't know how to breathe. And that fellow doctor hit you if you do not breathe, because you started getting pale and blue. Then he thought that if I hit you, then only you will start breathing. And then you started crying. That crying helped you to align your lungs for the initial palpitations, which made some oxygen, some air to go in, and some oxygen to get filtered, and some blood to get purified. And that activity got synchronized with your heart, and somehow you were born. And that is your birth. But it brings a lot of insecurity. How did you, the entire life, if I ask you a question, what are you doing? Sir, I want to come out of insecurity. What kind of insecurity is there? Sir, I don't have a job security, so I'm working for it. Anything else? Sir, I don't have a family security. I'm working on it. Anything else? Sir, I'm working on financial security. I'm working for entire life, entire day you are spending to come out of some kind of insecurities. But look at the insecurity that you had when you were born. And who was the person who made you come out of those insecurities? Only one person. That's your mother. Doctor informed the mother, give your child a kangaroo love. That means hold her close to your breasts. When you were hungry, maybe genetically or otherwise, you were attracted to her nipples to earn some food. But who knows? There was no enough power of sucking in the child who is newborn. And who also knows that the mother did not have proper level of milk produced in her body. That was another challenge. Coming out of challenge with loving and caring touch and look by the mother, your life started making journey. Within a few days, you came to know that there is one person nearer to you who only cares and loves you. So much so that there is access control in the room. No one is allowed in the room unless the person is checked for whether he will love my child or not. And if he is able to love the child, then only he is allowed by the mother. Slowly, the child develops the first character strength, that is self-esteem, which is defined by ability to love oneself. One's caste, creed, roots, village, town, from wherever he comes. That happened because of mother. Because one day you realized, if there is any important person in this house, it's you. Because everyone was loving you. That is the beginning of first character strength, that is self-esteem. Who gave you? Mother. Whenever you feel fear, hunger, and sleep. Where did you go? You went nearer to your mother. Mother took you, helped you to sleep, helped you to clean yourself, helped you to come out of fear and fed you. But that gave your body some strength. Slowly your body started synchronizing, hands, legs, eyes, all organs together and making movements. Mother was feeling more and more happy, and you are taking more steps. You are toppling yourself. You are sitting, you are standing, walking, running. Mother is not objecting for anything. Mother gave you the second character strength, that is courage. Courage is tested by ability to take risks in life. Now, each of these character strength, the fundamental core character strength, ask a question to yourself. Is it because of this character strength you have reached this far? And write an answer to against this question. The answer will be yes. And you next try to remember your mother. It is a gift, not by the God, not by your father. Father's role was only to protect your mother, as I said at the beginning, for progeny to create safe and secure, sweet home. Then mother's role started. Mother gave you this gift. And due to that courage, you are not listening to anyone in the house. You have started taking steps the way you wanted to live. Whether you want to climb, you will climb. If you want to run, you will run. And only one person you are looking at, and that is your mother's smile and eyes. If she is confident, she's smiling, you don't listen to anyone else. Mother has given you a third gift, that is grit. Grit is ability to never give up in life. Do you give up in your life? Answer is no. Who taught you this? At the baby steps, mother was not only a supervisor, but with love, she has given you the skill, that is grit. Angelina Duckworth, a Chinese professor, defines grit as passion with perseverance. If you are passionate with someone, and if you are persevere that activity, take it for a longer time with the passion, you are gritty. Paul Tough calls it as growth mindset. Anger turned into positive activity. What Gandhiji did, or what you did when you were angry, you were hell-bent on achieving those skills or qualifications, and that has started your professional journey. That is a anger turned into growth mindset. There is a very good book by Paul Tough named How Children Succeed. You may like to read that. Lastly, one day mother tells the child, with a virtual weapon not there in hand, but there is a tone and tenor in voice which speaks of not love, but only discipline and order. At a strength of voice, which is little lesser than shouting, tells the child, see, child, I am saying no. And it means no only. When I am saying no, it is no. That means the child knows mother is objecting to the behavior. And that day, mother has gifted the fourth and last character strength for the child, that is reflection. Reflection is tested by ability to make right choice in the life. Now you can analyze yourself. Is that what has succeeded, made you succeed in life? By making a choice which is right when the life always came with two choices. And then after 36 months, the child is sent out in the society, say to play with other children. First day, the child comes back. Not only child, but neighbors also come complaining about your child, that possibly your child has hit someone. and you defend. You defend to the neighbors. This cannot happen with my child. I know my child. Then the neighbor goes off. Then you lovingly take your child near. The mother does that and ask the child, did you really hit the child? And the child says, you say, yes, mom, I have hit the child. Why? Because he did something which angered you, which I did not like, therefore I hit him. Then the mother counsels, trains, informs the child, this is not allowed. Bodily harming is not allowed. So next time when you go to play, you will never touch bodily to any person by intention of making harm to them. Violence not allowed. Next day again child goes. Again the same complaint comes back. Then the mother is more curious because the child is so aggressive, so greedy that even the child doesn't want to listen to mother. She does an investigation. She again lovingly asks the child, now tell me what happened. Did you hit the child? Your child says, mother's child says, no, mama, I have not hit. I have not hit the child. Then you again ask, after giving some chocolate or some gift or giving some lure to the child, then why the complaint has come? Then the child himself describes, see, I got angry the way I got angry yesterday, but I have not used my hand as you have suggested to hurt the child. I have used somebody else's hand to hurt the child, and that is the way the child got hurt. I have not done the harm. What is happening here? He is truthful to his reactions and emotions, but you must appreciate that whenever you are giving any values, any human values to any child, he wants to experiment with it. Like you are getting a child of 18-year-old. He is experimenting at his level. He is experimenting with relations. He is experimenting with his level of exploiting compassion or otherwise. You should allow the institute premises as a laboratory to experiment with the human values under your supervision and then mitigate the in the character. That is what I would like to say. Actually, I wanted to discuss about the purpose of life by discussing the another part of the research of Martin Seligman, which you can also do Google resources and find out. He has worked on happiness by preaching on an acronym PERMA, P-E-R-M-A, where P stands for positive emotions, R stands for relations, E stands for engagement, M stands for meaning and purpose of life, and A stands for accomplishment. He says all these five are required to enjoy the happy and fulfilled life. So thank you so much for giving me a very patient listening. And also, I really apologize for the discomfort you may have had due to the intermittent disconnection. If you have anything to share with me, you may please.
Any questions from participants? Okay, sir. There is no questions from participants.
Okay.
Good evening, sir. Good evening to everyone. I am Sanghamitra. I'm Professor Sanghamitra Kamble from the Electrical Department. It has been such an honor to be part of this wonderful session. On the behalf of Jagdamba Education Society and the SND Engineering College of Engineering and Research Center, I extend a really hearty vote of thanks to our speaker, Professor Praveen Revankar sir, who spared time from his busy schedule to grace this session. Today, we had an opportunity to hear your valuable guidance on the outcome-based education. And this will surely be going to encourage us while doing work and implement it in academics.
Thank you, sir. Sincere thanks to the management of Jagdamba Education Society, and I would like to also thank our respected principal, Dr. D.M. Yadav, sir, HODs of all departments and organizing committee who handling the FDP throughout. Finally, I would like to thank all the present here for making this time to be used us today and helping us make this wonderful session. Thank you one and all. I would like to request all the participants kindly fill the feedback form, and also I would like to request all the participants join the tomorrow's session, which is on. First session is on the NBA preparation by Dr. Vaibhav Henry from the Raisoni College of Engineering and Management, Pune, and another session is on funding opportunities in R&D by the Dr. Kiran Bhole from Sardar Patel College of Engineering, Mumbai. Thank you, sir. And thank you, everyone.
Very nice session, sir. Very nice session, sir, and very informative. Dr. Yadav here.
Yes, sir. Thank you so much. Thanks
So
for
nice,
inviting.
so nice.
Yeah.
We'll meet in future also, sir.
Sure, sure. Whenever you are in Pune,
And our attendees also requesting. Just you see the comment.
yeah.
Very
I'm
nice,
so
very nice.
overwhelmed by the comments.
Yeah.
I must thank all.
Yeah.
So thanks again for the opportunity. Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
Yes,
Ajay Dhake is your student, sir.
Pardon?
Ajay Dhake is your student who is in
Yeah. I know. Umesh,
Thank you,
Ajay,
sir.
both are my
Thanks a
students.
lot.
Thank you.
Thanks, sir.
इकडे बघा.